For me, it's good evening, even good night. It's almost Halloween evening here in Sighișoara on Dracula's birthplace. Welcome again. I don't know, probably in the States or on other meridians, it's morning or daylight. So I use the occasion to opportunity to ask you, where do you will party? Happy Halloween, yes, tonight in the States, because you are behind us with a couple of hours. And if you are in Europe, what you will do? I can see that you are pretty much from everywhere. Italy. I saw the flag. 1 p.m. Okay, I imagined. I'm in the square from Sighișoara. It's the central square from here. It's a medieval city, still inhabited. One of the few in good evening. One of the fewest in Europe, which is still inhabited by the people. So in America, you are during of the workday, as far as I can see. Probably you are still at the office. Anyway, I plan to have a night tour in Sighișoara, as I said. I will talk mostly about Dracula and Vlad the Impaler, which is actually the same character. To tell you some stories, Alabama, or pretty much all over United States. You are here with me, and your 101 Airborne Division, it's in Romania, 4,000 people, so we are all together. Ireland. Hello, Michael. We have almost 1 minute. Yeah, Dracula's castle was something awful. For me, I was extremely upset after that tour. It was a real shame. Nice. Alma mater. I live in the UK. Okay. I went in UK a couple of times in the last years to the WTM World Travel Market, and we stayed in London about 5 days, and I was in love by that city. Hey, Annie. Andrzej, I imagine after your name you are from Poland, Czech Republic, probably Poland. And the tour is about to begin. So I will try to Poland, exactly as I imagine. My neighbor. I will switch the image. You saw me enough. Now you have to see the rest of the things, for you are here. So it's the main square. Name is Niku, correct? Yes. So these are the buildings from the square where I'm right now. And I will show it you slowly to start the tour from the place where was happened an event which brought us here, all of us tonight. I talk about the born of Vlad the Impaler, Dracula, as you know it, as everybody know him. And in front of you it's the so-called clock tower from Sighișoara. It used to be, into the medieval times, the main gate of the city. A city made by the Germans, colonists. The ones of you which followed me at the previous tours, you know already that the German colonists were brought in Transylvania because they were very good artisans and very good merchandisers by the Hungarian king after the conquest of Transylvania from the Romanians after about 100 years of fight. And another fight after that because the Romanians doesn't accept too easy this situation, and they tried all the time to liberate themselves under the Hungarian occupation. Okay, Filipa, I will try to speak a little bit louder. Maybe you can hear me now much better. I will tell you about the clock tower in a couple of minutes. But before of this, I want to be a little bit on a distance. So this is the house where Vlad the Impaler Dracula was born, somewhere between 1431 and 1435. It's, as you can see, a lot of people partying. And he was born in this house because his father, Vlad Dracula, had some businesses here in Sighișoara. And the main business of his father in here, it was a printing machine for coins, for money. It was a privilege that not all the people have it here in Transylvania, especially that the family of Vlad the Impaler was living in Wallachia, which is the hello Anthony. Wallachia, it's the region from the south of the actual Romania, and was called like this because Wallach, it means people or nation which speaks the Latin language. We the Romanians are the descendants of the Roman colonists from Rome, which conquered the country of our ancestors, Dacia. So that's why we are a Latin nation. I want to show you another Gothic house from here. And when Vlad the Impaler was born, a couple of years after that, he was growing up. So he was sent together with his brother, Radu the Beauty One, in Istanbul at the court of the Sultan Murad III to become a luxury prisoner as a warranty of the fact that his father, Vlad, also named, doesn't start a war against the Ottoman Empire. For the ones which entered later here, the house that you can see it right now in front of you is the house where Dracula was born, actually here in Sighișoara. And he studied a long period of time, couple of years, at the court of the Sultan, together with his brother, as I said, and together with Mohammed, one of the Sultan's sons, which will become later the famous Mohammed II, the Sultan which conquered Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, in 1453. And studying in Istanbul, of course, Vlad learned everything about the Turks, about their way of life, about the way of fight, about their traditions, customs, everything, including about this punishment with the impale, with the spike. So this is a very cruel punishment. It's a very cruel way to die, to kill somebody, because they crucified the person on the ground. They took a very long and thick beam of wood, sharpened on one of the sides. They introduced it in between the butt cheeks with two big hammers, and then they lifted up, and the person was impaled himself or herself into that big spike, where they were staying agonizing till death, even 2 days sometimes. So it was very painful way to die, and he using it, the Turks using it, even Charlemagne of France using it. So for this reason, I want to go till the people will leave the area to show you his statue from here. So when he came later to the throne of Wallachia, first time around 1440, something like this. He stayed only for 1 year on the throne. And then he was coming here in Transylvania at the court of Iancov Hunedoara, one of the Romanian governors of Transylvania, but adopted by the Hungarian nobility, and known for this reason in the European history under the name of Hunyadi János. And he was studied there how to fight, how to be a better soldier. And with the help of Iancov Hunedoara in 1456, he turned back to his country, to Wallachia, and took the throne, because Iancov Hunedoara was trying to create an alliance, an anti-Ottoman alliance of the Romanians from those three countries, because the Romanians were splitted in three countries after the retreat. This is Vlad. After the retreat of the Roman Empire, they were split in three countries: Transylvania, occupied by the Hungarians, Wallachia into the south, and Moldova, as you know it today, as the Republic of Moldova. That is half of the Romanian territory, which was captured by the Russians from us twice. So in Wallachia, when he came on the throne, he found a very, very bad situation, political and social situation. That's why he was very determined to correct this situation from his country and try to do something better for the poor Romanians living there. This is the church of the monastery. I will tell you about it in a couple of minutes. I will come back to the clock tower now. So he came at the throne, and he discovered a very bad situation, as I told you. So that's why the first measure he took, it was to organize a party for all the beggars, all the lazy people, or the criminals, or the thief, or the robbers, to show them his goodwill at the beginning of this reign. No, so they came, all of them. He invited into a house for the party. All the tables was loaded with a lot of food, with wine, with drinks, with a lot of things. The music was singing, very beautiful atmosphere, and everybody was happy and very content with such a good ruler and such a good man for their future. But at the middle of the party, he put some cannons between around the house, shoot on it, throw it arrows of fire, and burn them all, killing them, and saying to the people that this will be the punishment for all the bad guys in his country from now on, and nobody will be accepted to not work and to not respect the rules that he will put it for everyone. So that's why, in this way, he was started his reign. Now, before to continue his story, I want to show you a little bit the clock tower here in Sighișoara, the city where he was born. As you can see, it used to be the main tower, and it was burned down in the 17th century, in the second half. Was rebuilt by a local carpenter, Valentin, and an Austrian artisan, Gruber, from Tyrol. And as you can see, at the superior level, it have the clock and some puppets, which are up there. So up on the superior level, to the left it's the goddess of reason, to the right is the goddess of justice. Underneath it's the goddess of peace to the left, and to the right it's a drummer, which announcing the passing of the time. And if you can see near the goddess from the left, it's a small white figure, which is an angel, which is coming out every day at 6 p.m. with two candles in his hands, announcing the end of the day of work and the beginning of the night. And on the other side, it's a correspondent angel, which is coming out at 6 a.m., announcing the beginning of the day of work. As you can see under the clock, where are those lights, are some holes, some spaces. through that the people was throwing a lot of stuff in the head of the enemies. At the top, it's a balcony, and also you can see the tower, which is a pretty high one. And around of the main tower are 4 small turrets. Here you can see only 2, the other 2 are on the other side. And this was the main sign that in this city they can pronounce the sentence to death, which usually was a privilege of the king, of the emperor, but for some good services he can give this privilege to the communities or to the noble people. So that's why here in Sighișoara we have those 4 signs, and you can see these 4 small turrets having this meaning in all the places touched by the German culture. Of course, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Poland, Transylvania, Hungary. No, they are everywhere. And here near the house where he was born, we have this beautiful church of the monastery, which was erected around 1290 here in Sighișoara by the Dominican monks, which at the beginning they used to be an order of beggar monks, if you want, because it wasn't allowed by the Pope to detain properties and richness, and they actually receiving from the people food and a place to sleep for their religious services and for their help. No, and in the moment when one of the popes in 1290 decided to give them this right to achieve richness, they were starting to become extremely rich here in Transylvania. So that's why they had the money to build the monastery and the church. When I said richness, I said they were the owners of entire villages of people, a lot of domains, forests, hills, fields. So they receive a lot of things. And the monastery was built exactly where now you can see this beautiful Baroque building, which now it's the city hall of Sighișoara. It was built in the 19th century, in the second half, on the place where it used to be the former monastery of the Dominicans, monastery which was demolished by the people from Sighișoara after the moment when was happening here in Europe the reform of Martin Luther, the religious reform of Martin Luther. And that monastery after the reform, because the Germans from Transylvania, the Hungarians from Transylvania, they switch from Catholicism to Protestantism, Lutheran or Calvinists, and they adopted this new religion. So they vanished. They sent away all the monks, all the Catholic monks from here, and they transformed the monastery in school, in hospital, and finally they demolished it in the 19th century, as I said. This church, which remains still today, it's a Gothic church as well, as you can see. It's a very important one here because it was a real center of of culture here in the city. Because here the monks was written the main document, and that's why they were extremely important for the city. Also, this after the reform, as I told you, not all the people from a village, for example, from a community, was passing from Catholicism to Protestantism. So that's why for them, they wasn't vanished from the village, from the community, because the Germans was very, very well organized in here. Their communities, their villages were split in neighborhoods. Each neighborhood consisting in a group of houses was led by a ruler, by a chief. And the union of those chiefs of neighborhoods was going the council of the wise people from that village, which actually was leading and take all the decisions into their community. So that's why they do not send away those people which continue to remain Catholics. More than that, they offer them one of the towers, one of the bulwarks of the fortified church if they were into a village, or from the church, from the city, to continue to organize a Catholic chapel and to continue to practice their religion. So it's a symbol of tolerance, if you want, here in Transylvania, which makes one of the academicians of Romania, yes, are beautiful, to say that Transylvania, it's like a Europe in miniature, because here in Transylvania we have one of the most important language families of Europe, and I speak about Latins, we Romanians, Germans, and Finno-Ugrics, the Hungarians. Also, here in Transylvania, we have the most important religions of Europe: Greek Orthodox, the Romanians, all of them, also Roman Catholics and Protestants, also the Germans and the Hungarians. And in the third way, we have here the most important architectural styles in Europe: Romanic, Gothic, and Baroque. And in my hometown, in Brașov, we have on the same street, in a distance of not more than 1 kilometer, we have a Hungarian, Baroque, Roman Catholic church, a Romanic, Romanian, Greek Orthodox one, and a Lutheran, Gothic, German church. So all of them on the same street. And this makes Transylvania, as I said, a Europe in miniature. Coming back to Vlad the Impaler, after the episode with burning and killing all the bad people from his kingdom, he was starting to do some commercial documents, some commercial contracts with the German merchandisers from here, from Transylvania, which were very rich, and they was transporting many goods from Istanbul to Vienna, and they were forced to cross Wallachia, which is the south of Romania. So that's why he made these contracts, to know exactly what kind of goods they can sell in Wallachia, what kind of goods the Wallachian merchandisers could sell in Transylvania. But in a moment, the German merchandisers from Transylvania starting to break those treaties. So Vlad the Impaler, very furious, attacked, after a couple of warnings, the cities of Brașov and Sibiu, and tried to conquer it, to punish those merchandisers. He couldn't conquer those two cities because were very well defended. But instead, he impaled all the civil population that he found it outside. So after those cruelties of him, as you remember, as you know, in the medieval times, all the people was extremely cruel, and the value of a life, it was a very low value. So the life of a man was nothing for a knight or for a ruler. If you were a peasant or a merchandiser, you were actually like nothing, like an ant. So the Germans were starting to spread the word about his cruelty, about his thirst of blood. So they not only spread the word, but they wrote the word. So they create some stories, some written stories about his cruelty, which was spread all over Europe. And because of this, those stories were found many centuries later by Mr. Bram Stoker, which found his main character for his novel Dracula. And speaking about Dracula, I have to tell you that the name of Dracula, it means, as I like to say, the son of his father. Because Vlad, the father of Vlad the Impaler, Dracula, this is the Catholic Church from Sighișoara, he was the member of the Dragon's Order, which was an order of knights fighting against the Ottoman Empire, and they had as a coat of arms, obviously, a dragon. But because the dragon was their coat of arms, he placed this coat of arms all over his flags, his coats, his shields, everywhere. And because the image of the dragon in our mythology, in the Romanian mythology, is the image of the devil, his father was called Vlad the Devil, Vlad Dracul. And of course his son was called Dracula, or Dracula, which it means the son of the devil. For this reason, I said that he's the son of his father. So that's the meaning of the name Dracula, the son of the devil. And after that moment that he burned them all, after the moment that he attacked the people from Brașov and from Sibiu, from Transylvania, he started to try to regulate a little bit his businesses with the Ottoman Empire, which in those times it was the most important danger for Europe, because they was tried since 1395 when they conquered Serbia. They try all the time to attack and to invade Europe, and they succeeded for the first time in 1526 after the battle from Mohacs, when they defeated the Hungarian army and they killed the Hungarian king, and they had the first siege of Vienna. With the same occasion, Transylvania was breaking from the dominance of the Hungarian kingdom and became an independent principate under the, between the commas, protectorate of the Ottomans. So he was trying to set this situation, these relations with the Ottoman Empire, and I will tell you in a minute how. Till then, I want to show you the rest of the building of the Catholic Church, which is the one built here around 1900, this Catholic Church, on the place where it used to be before a Franciscan monastery in here in Sighișoara. As I will show you later, Sighișoara remain even today a medieval city with 95% of the fortifications in the same position. They lost only 2 towers and about 200 meters from the wall, which was surrounding the city. Here, this house where I am right now, it used to be the house of one of the historians of Sighișoara, one of the intellectuals of Sighișoara. Now it's a hotel and a very good restaurant, and it's here since 1700. It have a very nice architecture and a very good chef in the same time. But coming back to the medieval times, in front of me you saw already the Shoemaker's Tower, which is one of the defensive towers of Sighișoara, and it was called the Shoemaker's Tower because it was belonging, or it was into the responsibility of the Shoemakers Guild. And the guilds were very powerful and very important associations of artisans, of workers from the medieval city. And because it was very, very rich, those guys, those guilds, they had the possibility to maintain, to repair, and to defend the tower of the medieval city for the community. That's why here in Sighișoara, I will show you not only the Shoemaker's Tower, but the Butcher's Tower, the Furrier's Tower, the Weaver's Bastion, and all of these kind of things. This is one of the streets from Sighișoara, pictured in many guides books from the world. And speaking about the guilds, to become the member of the guild, you have to be, first of all, you have to be a boy. Only the boys were allowed, not because of the misogyny, not because they have something against the women, but I will explain you and you will understand very well at the end why. So you have to have around 16 years old, 14, 16 years old, something like this. You was entered as an apprentice into one of the guilds that you choose, and you worked for about 2 years as an apprentice. And at the end of this period of time, you have to sustain an exam. And if you pass that exam, you obtain the possibility, the right, to go and work outside of your city, to practice your skills, to practice your new job, and to come back after 2 years with an important thing made by you, like a beautiful shoe or a new type of boot, or if you were a shoemaker, no? And after that, you present this thing to the members of your future guild. You pay an amount of money, and you have to get married with one of the daughters of the members of the guild to keep the business, no, into the family, into the guild. So that's why they have to be boys. And of course, that this custom, this tradition of the traveler apprentices still remained in Europe. And in Germany, for example, they are still doing it. Are many Germans, Swiss, Austrians, which are still coming, traveling here in Transylvania, into the city of Sibiu mostly, where they have the house of the apprentices, where they are living without receiving a wage from the administration of Sibiu, but only for working for the city and receiving food and a place to stay. Here I'm on the walls, on the old walls of the city. You can't see too much into the valley over the city, only the lights. I have some trees in front of me because I'm on the hill. This is the shoemaker's tower from a different angle. Okay. And as you can see, are many houses, many cars, which is a sign that the people, yes, immediately, the people are still living here, and the population of the entire city. So I'm not talking about the fortress, because the city it's way more around of the fortress of Sighișoara. It's a city of about 15 to 20,000 people. It's not a big city. Here up into the fortress, I don't know, probably are living 500 people, something like this, not more than that. It's not a big city in Romania, but it's very important because it's a UNESCO site, the fortress from up here where I'm right now with you. You're welcome, see. And that's why it's so important in Romania for the tourism. And now I'm going in front of me to the Weaver's Bastion. I will tell you a couple of stories over there. But till I will arrive, I want to come back to Vlad the Impaler story, and to tell you that when he was started to regulate his businesses with the Ottoman Empire, again the shoemaker's tower, the Sultan Mohammed II, which already conquered Constantinople, pretends from him to pay a tribute in money, in children for his army, in honey, in sheep, in many other things. And because Vlad the Impaler refused, the Sultan tried to capture Vlad and to kill him. So that's why he sent about 2,000 soldiers to organize a trap for Vlad. But Vlad heard about this, so he organized a contra trap. He captured all the Turks and impaled them all 2,000. Of course, the commander of the Turks was impaled into the highest spike, according to his rank of commander. So when Mohammed II, after 2 years, come back to Wallachia to punish him for his for having the dare, no, to confront his troops, he was forced by Vlad the Impaler to cross through that real forest of impaled soldiers of the Ottoman Empire. And the Sultan wasn't very touched, very moved about the image, because he was a very cruel guy as well. And he was impressed by the cruelty of Vlad, and he respected him for this. But Vlad had a very small army, because you know that in the Occidental Europe, as I said before, you know that the battles, even the greatest battles of Europe, like the one from Azincourt in France between the British and French, wasn't more than 5,000 people on one side and maybe 6,000 people on the other side. Here I speak about 100,000 Turks and 40,000 Romanians are another numbers. But with all this, it was very difficult to stay in front of 100,000 Turks, no, very well trained and armed. So that's why Vlad adopted the tactics of the guerrilla war. So he was starting to attack the troops of the Ottomans day and night, seeding the fear in between those guys, killing them, cutting the supply lines, and create a lot of disorder, and after about a week like this, he organized the final attack. And the final attack remained famous in our history. It's called the night attack. And he dressed 100 of his best soldiers into the uniforms of the Ottoman Empire, entered into the middle of the camp at midnight, starting to kill, to burn, to destroy everything. He goes to the Sultan's tent, killed everybody inside of the tent, excepting the Sultan, which was missing at that hour, unfortunately for us and for the entire Europe. And he was retreat after 1 hour of fight, letting the Turks to kill between themselves because of the confusion. They don't know which is a real Turk and which is a Romanian dressed like one. So after this moment, he was going to the castle of Bran, to Dracula's castle in Transylvania, waiting for King Matthias of Hungary some help in this fight against the Turks, because they were planned together a crusade. And that crusade was never took place because King Matthias wasn't very interested in that moment in fighting against the Turks, and he was more preoccupied by getting married. So he arrested Vlad and put him behind bars for about 12 years because the persistence of Vlad in asking a crusade against the Turks was disturbing the plans of King Matthias. So Vlad stayed behind bars for about 12 years. What happened next, I will tell you in a couple of minutes, but till then, this is the tower, this is the Weaver's Bastion. It's one of the other gates of entrance into the city. It used to be a gunpowder warehouse, and when in 1600, 1680, 1670 was a big fire into the city, here was a big kaboom, and the superior part disappeared of the tower. They were forced to rebuild it after that. Coming back to Vlad, I want to tell you that one of the stories about him was saying that he was walking through his country one day, and he saw on a field a man working the field, and he yes, our beautiful Anthony, and he saw that man it have the rope, the clothes on him pretty ripped off and dirty. So he asked the man, the peasant, tell me, my friend, are you married? He said yes. Okay, please lead me to your home, I want to meet your wife. And he arrived at the house of the man, he met the wife, and he asked the wife if your husband brought last year enough hemp to do clothes. She said yes, he brought me. Then why he is dressed with such ripped off clothes and dirty clothes on him? And he impaled the lady for being lazy. Another story is saying that a foreign merchandiser crossing Wallachia stopped for the night to sleep to an inn. And he asked the owner of the inn, where should I put my bag of money? And the answer was, let it into the middle of the street. If somebody will take the money from your bag, I will pay you tomorrow everything back. He did this. He go to sleep, and overnight, Vlad the Impaler crossed through the street. He saw the bags of money. He answered why it's with this in the middle of the street. He received the answer, and he add an extra coin into that bag of money. And next morning, he goes personally to give it to the merchandiser. He gave it to him and said, please count your money. And he was started to count the money, and every time he was found that extra gold coin into the bag. Finally, he said, Your Majesty, this is not mine. Please take it back. I don't know who it belongs. And then Vlad, very happy, said, you are a good man, you are a decent person, you are an honest guy. So for this reason, I will let you to continue your trip. If you will try to cheat me and to not tell me about this extra gold coin which I added with my hand last night into your bag, the spike for you to be impaled it is waiting already outside. So he was a very right guy at the end with the people, and he was trying to do the things as just as possible for everybody. And because of this, and because of the fact that he put the crime rate in about 1 year at 0, he was very loved by the Romanians. And you can see this reflected in the fact that we have many poets and many writers which wrote in their books something like, Vlad Vlad the Impaler, we are waiting for you to come back to Romania to do order in our country. So a last story about him, it says that he placed a gold cup on a well on the middle of the street on a crossroad to have the people to drink fresh water, and nobody stolen it, as you imagine, just because they knew the punishment. And as I said, he was like a hero for the Romanians, just because he was a very good fighter against the Turks, against the Ottoman Empire, an empire which created us a lot of troubles during of the centuries. And the grandfather of Vlad the Impaler, Mircea cel Bătrân, it's the Romanian name. Translated, it's Mircea the Elder, not because he was very old, as you could believe, but because of the fact that he was the first Mircea ever between our rulers, named Mircea. So that's why, being the first Mircea, so the oldest Mircea, his name, he was called Mircea the Elder, the first ruler called Mircea. And this is another street from the city. So this Mircea the Elder, this grandfather of Vlad the Impaler, remained till today the single Christian prince which defeated an Ottoman army led by the Sultan on the battlefield. This small detail with the Sultan on the battlefield is very important, because there were many Christian princes which defeated the Ottomans on the battlefield, but not with the Sultan there. And to be the Sultan in the middle of his troops, it was a very great, give them a great courage to fight. No. Speaking about Sighișoara in Transylvania, I will ask you something different. I imagine that many of you read the German story called The Pen Piper from Hamelin. It's about a city of Hamelin. Here I'm near the butcher's tower. I will show you in the light in a minute. And in that city was a rat, Pied Piper of Hamelin, exactly. So in that city, it was an invasion of rats, and they couldn't escape of those rats. So the mayor and all the people from the city hear the news that it's a guy which have a flute, a pet piper, which with that flute he was singing, and he can remove the rats from the city. This is the furrier's tower. So they hired him to escape them from the rats. They promised him an amount of money. He came, he started to sing. All the rats from the village followed him to the river. They jumped into the river, died, and the city was very happy escaping by those rats. But the people from the administration doesn't want to pay him the entire amount of money, because they consider that the work that he was done was too little effort for such big amount of money, so they refused to pay it. And for this reason, he said, okay, for this I will punish you, I will sing another song. And when he started to sing, all the children from the community followed him till a mountain where they disappeared forever. Now, according to some legends of the German colonies from Transylvania, that legend says that the German colonies from Transylvania are the descendants of a group of children coming out from a mountain, following a guy which was singing to the flute. So this is the connection between Transylvania and Pied Piper from Hamelin. So according to that legend, the children from the story passing through the mountain arrived here in Transylvania. I didn't know that story till I read it by myself. And if you read it again, you will find some books where at the beginning, where at the end of the book, it says this. And they said that the people from Siebenbürgen, this is the German name of Transylvania, are the descendants of those children. And Siebenbürgen, it means 7 cities, because Transylvania was a union of 7 fortified cities, among of them Sighișoara, of course, which was ruled by the Germans. Here I'm trying to come back into the Grey Square for where I live, for where I left in. I started this tour, and I want to tell you that when Vlad the Impaler was released from prison by King Matthias of Hungary, a king which I'm very proud to say it's half Romanian, because his father was 100% Romanian, even that he was adopted as Hunyadi János by the Hungarian aristocracy. When he came back on the throne after those 12 years, he stayed only 3 months, because after 3 months he was killed into a battle against the Turks by his own nobles, which wasn't again to have wars against the Turks, to have punishments for corruption, and of course not all of them were very right persons. They were very, very corrupt, many of them. So that's why they decided to kill Vlad during of this fight against the Turks, and he was killed, beheaded, and his head was transported to Istanbul to be shown to all the Turks to know that Vlad Kazıklu, as they used to call it, Vlad the Impaler, is dead, their main enemy. And the story of Vlad, of course, is not stopping here, because, as I told you, he was sang in many songs, in many heroic songs, in many poetries in Romania. The Romanian regretted him very much, just because he was a very good protector of the poor people, of the right people. And as I said, even today, he had a lot of places in Romania with statues and where he's mentioned. Here in Sighișoara, I have another things to show you and to tell you. Vlad the Impaler is not the only personality of the city. Exists another one. Exists another one which was born much later than him, about 300 years later, so around 1900. And this personality, it's one of the first rocket scientists of the world, which was born in here. This is the street which goes in. Now nobody scares us, Ralu. Which goes in back to the main square of Sighișoara. So Hermann Oberth is the name of this. Is the name of this rocket scientist, which was born near Sighișoara in Mediaș, a very beautiful city, a couple of kilometers away from here, and he was studied in Sighișoara on the school placed on the hill, and on that hill, which is behind me, exists even today a school where the children are studying. It's a high school, really, actually, and they arrive up to their school following this tunnel. Actually, it's a staircase. It's a covered staircase, which goes up to the hill where the school is, and where it's a church, unfortunately closed in this moment, and it's called the Church on the Hill, and it's one of the most important monuments of Sighișoara. It's actually the third city, is the third church of the city, after the church of the monastery, and after another one which was built previously of the 14th century. Here near the near the staircase, you can see part of the walls of that previous Catholic church in here. So Hermann Oberth, this rocket scientist, which had a very important contribution to the program Apollo 11 in United States, and also unfortunately, especially for the British and for the Europeans, had another important contribution to the production and invention of the rockets V1 and V2, which struck London many times into the Second World War. So, as you can see, not only Vlad the Impaler, it's a personality of Sighișoara, but also a scientist, a very important scientist of the world. And because I mentioned this scientist, this Hermann Oberth, I want to go further with the inventics to close the parenthesis which I open it with him, and telling you that the jet engine of the modern planes, the jet engine of the passenger planes that you are using it to fly in all the directions on the planet, it's an invention of a Romanian engineer. It's called Henri Coandă, and he invented in 1910 this jet engine. And another engineer, another constructor of planes, Aurel Vlaicu and Traian Vuia. Traian Vuia in 1902 was the first man which fly with a plane actioned by his own engine. The Wright brothers made the Glade. Another French pilots like Blériot made planes, but the first one which flew with a plane actioned by his own engine was the Romanian Traian Vuia at the beginning of the 20th century. And another important contributions of the Romanians to the inventives of the world is the insulin for the diabetes, and the fountain pen. It's another man, Petrache Poenaru, which works to it. So, talking about something very close to the theme that we have it tonight, because it's the Halloween night everywhere in the world. I have to tell you that as a surprise for you, we don't have vampires in our mythology. So this is something that Mr. Bram Stoker used from the Irish mythology, he being an Irish, as far as I know. So what we have in our mythology are some characters which are some like the undead from his stories, and some bad ladies which are punishing the women which are working into the religious celebrations. For example, Thursday you wasn't allowed to work, Tuesday the same, and those bad witches was coming to punish them for working into a forbidden day. No. And another ones are some goddesses which appeared mostly in June into the forests and dancing around the men mostly, and they cause to these men even death if they start to dance around them. So we don't have too many stories like this. Of course, we have the day of the deceased people in Romania, which is not October 31st, but November 1st. So the next day, and is more connected with the religion, with the Greek Orthodox religion, which is majority between the Romanians. And anyway, to not let you without an important story today, I will tell you that I stay here in Sighișoara in the hotel which is called exactly Sighișoara Hotel. It's a very old building. I will show you to you in about 2 minutes. And in this building, we had a couple of times through my travel agency, Visit Transylvania Travel, a couple of groups of people which was searching the ghosts. And they had a lot of instruments, a lot of techniques with them, and they came here in Sighișoara to research the buildings, and they found in two hotels from Sighișoara, actually, a very intense ghost activity. So one of the hotels, it was the hotel called Casa Wagner, near my hotel, and another one was my hotel itself. So actually inside of the hotel, which I will show you to in a moment, and I tell you the story, and I believe it has to be something true on it, because not only because of these people which made the measurements and they discovered strange activity into the hotel, but also because of the fact that the personnel told me a lot of stories about a ghost which acting exists inside of the hotel. They was found many times. The carpets moved from the place and was very heavy carpets. They head into the basement where it's a hall for parties. A lot of movements, a lot of noises, and nobody was there, obviously. In many cases, some people saw their glasses of water moved on the table from the room, and it's very possible to be true, because this building it used to be in the 19th century the city hall of the city, before to became the other one, the city hall, during of the time when they built it actually. And inside of the city hall, this is the building with lights at the windows, what I'm talking about, the Sighișoara Hotel. It was existed a mayor which have done a lot of bad things. He was stolen actually a lot of money from the money of the city, so that's why he was discovered and hanged by the neck, exactly here into the main square of the city. And apparently, for this reason, his ghost it's continued to walk, to be very animated here into the inside of the hotel from Sighișoara. Now, because the night fall and the darkness covered almost everything here in Sighișoara, only the light remained on here. Before to end, I want to show you the house with the stag, as it is called, for a very obvious reason. You have this fresco with the stag painted, and the stag head with the horns placed on the corner of the house. It was a house which was renovated 16 years ago by a German foundation, and it's one of the symbols of Sighișoara. So this was pretty much my story. If you have some questions about what I was telling you, and maybe I forgot to tell you something, tell me, because I want to answer to your questions. Thank you very much for your gifts. And certainly into the future, I will do more tours like this one here in Transylvania and in Romania too, because there are many things that I didn't show it, and I hope you like it. Jennifer, thank you very much for this. I hope you like it. I hope you absorbed all the new things which I teach to you. Yes, thank you. See, so I wait you in the future to my tours. I invite you to follow me, and I hope that you will be okay till the next meeting with me. And now, as usual, I will. Yes, I will buy a new gimbal. Yes, Nicole. I will wish you, as usual, good night, good morning, and good day, depending on what meridian you are. And God bless you all. And of course, not the last one, a happy Halloween to you. Thank you very much. I'm really glad and happy that you like the tour. Bye bye.